Welcome to Cashflow Diary, a podcast where we discuss business, money, real estate, and the sharing economy. As a full-time real estate investor, entrepreneur, and all-around problem solver, I have had the privilege of developing individuals into powerful business owners. And today, the focus turns towards you. Our mission is to help you build your real estate empire by leveraging strategies to grow yourself, your mind, and your wallet. Let's get started. One of the important things that can happen for your business as you continue to grow is figuring out how to classify the individuals that you're paying. Are they vendors? Are they employees, contractors? What is the best way to make that happen? We're going to discuss that and going to give you some inside tips on how to make sure that your business runs as smoothly as possible, regardless of size.
So we are looking, we're currently hiring a runner for our business, and I don't mean to overcomplicate it, but it seems that if we're going to be directing them and telling them how to do their job and all that kind of thing, they sound a lot more like an employee than a independent contractor. And after attending the summit and hearing from the HR guy, it sounds like that I'm a rule follower by nature, so I kind of want to be in line. So
nothing wrong with that.
As far as like looking into that here in North Carolina, it's easier than California for sure. However, I've seen some kind of like online, they'll hand you your HR type stuff. There's some local places that will just do payroll, that type of thing. And we only have the one employee at this point, but I want to kind of see what you guys think about that as far as like, who should we be asking about this? I've never had an employee before. Is it something that is like a giant concern or what, as far as like paying them and bringing them home?
It's a giant concern because you're concerned. Does that make sense? So that doesn't. What's that? That's exactly what I was thinking. It's a giant concern because you're concerned, and you're right to be concerned because the EDD, they don't play. And they, as you saw at the summit, for those of you wondering what we're talking about, during the summit, we invited a number of different types of speakers, one of which was a HR expert, because I identified earlier last year, in 2018, I had identified there's some issues. There's two specific positions, specifically with your cleaners, and second, where your runner, where you could have some additional liability that you're not currently set up properly for. And that's what John is referring to. What it comes down to, John, is you're in North Carolina. Again, what I would do is I would go to the B&I website in Charlotte, North Carolina, and start to look for an HR person that you could then have this conversation with. Does that make sense? Because they're going to be able to give you a more clear definition of what North Carolina defines as a contractor versus an employee. My suspicion is, and where the dividing line is going to be, is not so much in the job duties, but more in the, does this person have other customers and clients, etc., to make that work? I think that's where you're going to fall. That's where you're going to fall into the employee category more challengingly, for sure. So, but as you can see on the screen, there's a number of B&I chapters in the was that Charlotte, North Carolina, Winston-Salem areas. I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that there is an HR representative of some kind in one of those chapters. You can just do a search to be able to find them. You can click on any one of those chapters and it'll tell you phone number, gives you their email, tells you what they kind of their role and what they do. You can figure out what positions and occupations that these people already have. That's how I would handle it, because ultimately there's a lot of very specific, for lack of a better way of putting it, there's just a lot of very specific information that comes around that just matters when it comes to Charlotte.
Understood. Yeah.
Now, if you remember what I said before, probably one of the smartest things you can do is to you and Crystal get together to use the same individual, which will again help that person. What you really want to do is you want to help that person qualify for independent contractor status as much as you. That's really.
I got you.
Now,
yeah.
another way of doing the same thing, if you're trying to find that person, if you can go to, does handy.com work in your area?
I haven't heard of it, but
we have something kind of like that. Yes, and there's also something called Tackle.
Tackle, okay, yeah, okay. Those are all of those same idea, same concept. Well, you should be able to find some independent contractors who can do some of the things that you're talking about, and you can use those to screen, and then try to create a deal to where you can work with them directly outside of their platform work, because that would also.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. We talked to somebody today who is kind of follows us and is wanting to get into the STR business. And that's why they reached out to say, hey, we would love to help you in your business type thing. But, yeah, Wendy, you're meeting with that person tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so I actually met with Crystal's runner a couple of weeks ago. But he was very expensive. I mean, he was going to charge me $15 just to take out the trash one time.
Didn't we talk about this?
I did, yeah. I related to that, yeah.
And that's insane. There was no way I'm paying that.
And I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying that this is just going to take some more work and more massaging to figure out. And I think ultimately what we decided, at least what I remember, the way I remember this going down, I said something to the effect of, John, the true solution is for you to just...
I thought about it this morning as well, yes.
Yes, that's what I remember. That's how I remember the problem being solved, but maybe not.
I remember that too. It's not reality.
I do.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's the one that acquires the unit, so she would like that.
Yes.
But that's not my reality tomorrow. But it will be this year, yes.
But yeah, now, outside of that, I do know the college student route is probably a decent way to go, because that's someone who is okay with a little bit of extra side money, but doesn't necessarily, because you're in this in-between stage where I can't really offer someone full-time work, but I can't, and nor can I pay them to just be 100% available when needed. And I totally understand. And a perfect would make a facilities maintenance company, would organize on our behalf, charge us a fee so that we could give them the consistent work, and they would serve geographic areas.
And somebody,
just saying, that would be a perfect, wouldn't it? You can have a phone number to call.
It would. We all have these kind of ideas. I understood.
Yep, but that's the best I got right now.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cashflow Diary podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a rating and a review. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, head over to CashFlowDiary.com to sign up for our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Thank you again. Until next time.